So in this video, I'm going to show you how to add materials to your assets. For this example, I'm going to use some loose files or loose geometry, meaning that they're not in USDC format. They're not packed. So I'm going to use some assets that they don't have materials. They're actually USDA. Let me show you. So for example, I have some USDA geometry and I have some materials in here. They start with MTL material. They look like this. Let me show you pretty quick. So this is what I have. This is my project coffee shop and these are the assets. So for example, if I open the material, you will see that it's just the material configuration, all the inputs for that material and values, right? If I go to material black, matte black, you will see the same thing. So for example, if I open the plate, you will see the mesh and all the vertex counts, etc. Same thing with the accent below. So I'm gonna try to use one of these and add a material in there. So I'm going to open my last project, which was the coffee shop. And then since these assets are already in my local computer, I don't have to download from anywhere. So I'm gonna let BowerBot to use, let's say, the table, and we're gonna start from there. So I asked BowerBot to look into my local assets and take the table and place it in the scene. So if we take a look here, we'll be able to see that we have the table, right? It reference the table inside this furniture X form, and then we have that this asset has different mesh parts. For example, I want to add a material in the top table, so I have a wood material in here. I go to assets, I have material wood, so I can apply this material to that top table. So by doing that, I will ask so it says that it successfully applied the material to the top table. Is letting us know where that material was assigned. So it's basically in this mesh. So if we fetch, we'll see that the material has been applied to the top table, which is this mesh part of the table. But we also have these grids, these metal grids in here, right? So we can apply, for example, the metal material in the frames, since we have all the frames in here, big frame 1, big frame 2, 3 and 4, right? So I can ask BowerBot to include those materials. So if I go to my materials, see what are the materials that I have. I have the metal matte and the metal dark steel. I can apply the metal dark steel to the frames, for example. So it's telling me that it applied the material to all these parts of the asset, and the current table materials is saying that the tabletop has the wood varnish, all frames dark steel appearance, and then the grids still original material, so meaning that it doesn't have any material yet. So let's take a look. You will see that it has some materials in the frames, right? So we can apply now the materials to the metal grid. And now it says that it has applied the material, the matte black material to the metal grid from 1 to 4. So if we refresh this one, you will see that we changed the color, and now we have all the materials. But one of the important things in here is how this asset has been built from the project. So if we take a look at our project in here, we can take a look at the assets. So from my local assets, it took the single table, which is a USDA. It's just geometry without materials, and then you'll see all the different meshes in here. So it made a copy and created an asset folder with all the stuff that we need. So according to the Academy of Software Foundation, assets, it should be organized in this way. So you have the name of the asset as a name of the folder, and then you have the main USDA file, which is going to reference the materials and the geometry. The geometry, it's the actual mesh components, right? And then the material, it's all the materials that BowerBot applied. As you can see here is making the materials in here. It's copying the material from the original file and place it into the mtl.usda file. And here is making the bindings of those materials. So basically this is our main root file of this asset, and then it's referencing in these two layers. The first layer, it has the geometry, and the second layer, it has the materials. So that's the way on how it should be. If I show you this one in my file explorer, you will see that we have assets, and then we have this asset single table, which includes the geometry, the materials, and this is the root file, to say it, just to say it like that. This is the root file. So what it's going to do is going to load this file always, but this file is linked to the geometry, and this file is also linked to the materials, is referenced. So this is another way if you want to build your assets, you can build your assets in BowerBot as well. So the materials so far, they have to exist in your assets as I have them in here. In my assets, I have the materials, but we will be working on BowerBot to create materials. The complex part will be if you have textures, for example, those those materials should be coming from your asset manager, from your assets in general, if you want to build those materials for any specific asset, if you want to create variations from different textures and so on, which BowerBot is going to support in the future. You can do, you have to get your materials with the textures separated so BowerBot can take those and apply it. But for single materials like this one, um, BowerBot should be able to create those materials for you without having the files. But that's something that we will be working on in the future, in the near future. Now, this is how we build this asset, and you can start building like another asset if you want. We were working with the plate last time. We can something really quick that I want to mention here in this table is that if you want to switch the materials from the grid, now have the materials from the frame in the grid and vice versa, we can do that with BowerBot. So well, you will see that you will reach the maximum tool calling because we have some limits in the API calling as well, so you can fix those by going to your configuration file and having from there, or you can just switch. I'm actually using Anthropic plots on it, and depending on your tire here, um, depending on how many tokens you have, that's how you will be able to work with it. But in GPT 4.1, you have like more extension of tokens to, especially for the tool calling. So, but you can see here it switched the materials from the frame into the grid and the grid to the frame. So it switched the materials in here. So yeah, so this is how to work with materials. In the next video, we're going to work with lighting. We're gonna play around with some lights.